Alright, hi everybody. It is time to take a look at the new version of Helena, who, for better or worse, let's just call her Light Helena. We could also call her Young Helena, but whether that's Lelena, Yelena, or some other thing that people are going to come up with, I'll just wait for someone else to do it. For better or worse, this unit is available, and I'm going to start this video by talking about a story from the JP side. So, 1 week ago, there was another character released called, well, he's from FF9, he's a little dark elemental mage, and he's adorable. I'm talking, of course, about Vivi. Vivi came out, and a lot of people love Vivi. He's just one of the Final Fantasy characters that most people don't really have any ill will against because he's adorable, he's cute, and I mean, you just have to be a monster to dislike him. But anyway, one JP player apparently spent a lot, and I repeat, want to say this again, a lot of resources to max reincarnate Vivi to full already, and that's an impressive feat. A little ridiculous, but also impressive. And today, now that Helena has come out, apparently he quit the game because Helena completely invalidates Vivi, and this concludes my dumbest thing that I've heard in a little while. Not to be rude to the player, I mean, obviously we all get a little bit annoyed when a character comes out that counters us, or one of our characters that we like, but that's the way this game has kind of evolved for a long time now. Where essentially, like, a character will come out and is strong, but, you know, like Bridal Elia came out, and then eventually Soul came out, and Soul is just a really, really strong answer, and kind of the answer that was needed to bring a little bit of balance to the game. And not that Vivi or Zidane were particularly meta-warping. How could they be? They haven't been out that long. But the overreaction here is just really funny to me because a cursory look at Light Helena, which we are going to look at today, would indicate that she's a light elemental mage and maybe great in a light elemental party, but at least the initial, like, 24 hours-ish, not even yet, that we've had with her, lead me to believe that she might actually be just better with Vivi, of all things, since both are really strong new elemental mages that kind of share a lot of crossover because light and dark just does that, sort of. There's already a bunch of great like job BCs that kind of support this team too, in combination with Raph, and all of these three members rely on re-raise to be stronger than they are without re-raise. And yeah, like, honestly, I find it just hilarious that there's such an overreaction from a player at this point, because yeah, I would say that Light Helena is probably going to be way better in some combination team like Soul has been, rather than just in a pure light elemental party that's just going to kill dark. So I don't know, like, I get it, it's a ton of resources to spend, but I really wanted to open this video just how ridiculous some of the community can be about when a character comes out and flipping out in not even 24 hours when we don't even know if the character is any good or not. So yeah, that's my opening story. It is what it is. For the rest of the story, we're just going to do a preview for this character, and then we're going to do the rest in a separate video, because obviously I've needed to spend a ridiculous amount of time trying to tell people, calm the fuck down, when you're asking if she's, like, meta or going to kill all of Dark yet, when we don't, it hasn't even been 24 hours. Calm down, guys. Okay. Now that I'm done coughing a bunch, let's take a look at a fully 140'd Helena and talk about the good points. First off, I want to talk about her weapon, because I actually think this thing is kind of meh. I mean, like, it seems to be rated fairly well, but I think it's kind of meh. It's just a regular, like, weapon for her with 182 magic, magic attack up by 15, AoE attack resistance of 8, reaction block rate of 30, and this is for light and dark units. So it works for multiple units across the board, and it's probably just nice to generally have, but I find it a little bit less impressive than some of the weapons that have been coming out recently, which are just generally look a little bit better for a specific character, and I'm kind of surprised this one ended up being a little soft, but it's not the biggest. Alright, so the rest of Helena. Let's see if there is value worth having. First of all, Trust Mastery is a accessory. You can see the stats right here, 10 critical evade. TMR skill, increase magic attack resistance penetration by 40 for 3 turns, slash attack resistance by 25%, and decrease skill activation time for 4 turns. If this sounds familiar, it should. It is essentially Dark Fina's TMR, but slightly better. And to that point, it's slightly better and slightly worth getting. But is this thing like an insane TMR? No, I think there's been better ones, and this is just a really good one, so not really too much else. Master ability is single target resistance of 10%, and skill activation time down of 200, so of course you're going to be getting this anyway, but it really is important for her being better. Skill activation time is one of the things we want to really kind of crank out, so her abilities are essentially instant. Dream ability is more single target resistance, as well as accuracy of 10, as well as decreasing attack skill activation by 250 with improving one of her abilities. But really, the big thing here is just getting the activation time down and single target resistance. Because if we take a look at this unit currently, almost 10,000 HP. Now this is in a full quest party. It's still 103 speed, 1800 magic, 45 accuracy, 25 defense, 18 spirit, which is all good across the board, but 92 single target resistance, which is pretty damn resistant. If we take a look at another 140 character, we'll choose Lucio, just to see what he looks like in this party. This is a fully maxed reincarnated Lucio as well. And just take a look at Bartz, who's another character that have single target resistance is up to 40, but nowhere near as high as what Helena is cranking out. And yes, my light elemental mages aren't particularly 140 yet, but you can get an idea for where Helena's stats are in comparison. Point being is that you can crank out a lot of single target resistance on this character, but AoE resistance falls a little down. I think the very obvious thing to kind of make this, well, essentially better would just be to swap in a card like this. Excuse me, I'm trying not to cough so much, but you can see there are sources of AoE resistance to potentially make your character more invulnerable to types of damage, but AoE resistance is a weak part in her kit. Now, looking at resistances, I mean, pretty good against strike, pretty good against slash, and with TMR, very good against slash, and decent against magic as well. The status effects resistance here isn't anything too crazy. Poison is kind of interesting because it points her to potentially being a soul counter. Even though I think that this character will just be kind of generally strong. Weak against Pierce is still pointing in the direction that we are due for a really strong spear character to reshape the meta and be the actual character that's going to be potentially meta breaking. But let's pull back for a second and kind of talk about other people's opinions. For the most part, other review sites early on are just pegging this character as double S or even triple S. Game 8, at least earlier in the day, and I'm just going to refresh to make sure that nothing has changed in the X amount of time. I haven't looked at the website. Yeah, she's still pegged at a triple S, which one of the last characters to actually get triple S was Soul, and she's just, for both quest farming as well as PvP, is ranked up at the top. This is still very, very early on, but I tend to agree with this overall. Helena is just essentially a really strong character no matter how you build her. Interestingly, she has what is effectively like Garvel's ability, where for the first 5 turns in battle, she's getting certain bonuses, including single target resistance, as well as decreasing skill activation time by 400, which means that essentially she's overcharged for those amount of turns, which, yeah, that's pretty damn good, having that. And also you can see how much single target you can potentially get in a full party. The other ability, magic by 24%, spirit penetration by 40, and magic attack resistance penetration by 40 will basically push her DPS quite high. She has a mix of single target and multi-target attacks. Generally pretty nice, but I'm also jumping a bit ahead. White Mage gives her Nullified Doom with the magic up. Grimoire Master gives her HP and magic up, as well as defense and spirit penetration. So depending on how you want to build her, there's a good amount of flexibility for this and single player content in the future, especially if some Doom shenanigans come around. As for counter ability, her main counter is just a chance to counter physical damage with increasing HP itself. The Grimoire Master has a decreased chance of being targeted and increased AoE resistance, which might actually be the better one here, since she does have access to quite a bit of heal, as we're going to get it. Decreased chance of being targeted means that she's less likely to be targeted than your potential tank if the hate has disappeared. And, I mean, you're countering all damage. I think it's fairly decent chance to happen. White Mage gives you regen, which also gets an increase in healing power, which could be pretty cool. So there are 3 good avenues also for just her counter ability, depending on how you build her. As for Limit Burst, now, of course, the Limit Burst is one of the things that has gotten pretty famous about her already. Large AoE, decreased magic resistance for 38%, so makes her a natural fit for with other mages, which I haven't seen many demonstrations of yet. 200% mod on this, 69 AP, but she is a mage, so she has AP from the start, and automatically casts the AoE heal around her, which seemingly is going to heal a fairly decent chunk, and more so if you actually get the White Mage counter off. So yeah, this is pretty strong. And last but not least, it also casts Reflect. Now this is a single spell Reflect. It's not going to reflect entire AoE spells, but in just against other mages, it is pretty nasty and can definitely be a tide turner. And this is one of those things that there aren't really many counters against, so it will make Helena strong on her own, and it seems like her AI is not particularly adverse to casting her Limit Burst, so good news. White Mage is one of her sub-jobs, gives her most notable things that it gets: Protect and Shell, Raise, and last but not least, Holy, and Holy is relevant because it does give 100% hit chance, or at least the option for it. Grimoire Master is her other sub-job. Big things to note: reducing physical damage taken by 7,500 HP for self, while also increasing defense for allies. The defense thing is nice, but these HP barriers that take us out a specific type of damage, most of her kit is just really good against other mages. So Grimoire Master is going to give her a really good place in the meta, because you can essentially cancel out maybe a couple other abilities just so that she'll cast this. And yeah, 7,500 extra HP on top of this is just pretty good. Also gives her Confuse, and gives her the interesting skill of decreasing AP for 3 turns if the target has one or more of the following effects: Protect, also grants the Protect status effect, and defense debuff resistance 50 if Protect is in effect. So she does have access to some really good physical defensive options from Grimoire Master. I don't even think you're running it for the attack spells, just for physical defense, and given the number of physical units around, it's actually not bad. What you are giving up, though, is pretty relevant here. First off, an HP regeneration single target one with an AP restore 15. Not terrible. And if her AI is smart enough to use it, it's pretty good. As for this one is just really good. Select 2 targets, 185 mod, decrease spirit by 25% for, 25 for 3 turns for the target. Now, it's a double hitter ability. This is legitimately a tough decision for me. Why me, if her AI will use the spells, raise is a pretty good thing to get your hands on, but not necessary here for the team that I'm playing. The Grimoire Master is a lot of physical defense, but the selected target abilities are just really, really, really good all the time. And decreasing spirit is great for other mages, and it even has some chaining properties on it. And it's elemental as well. So yeah, I think that this is an actual legitimate question about what you want to run. As for her main job, well, let's just get into it. Her basic attack has stop on it, which she has high bravery. There's a good chance that she can cast stop, and that is a game changer for going up against opponents. Boy, what do we even talk about next with this thing? So reducing physical damage taken to the target if the area size in the area size by 25% for 4 turns if the allies have 1 or more of the following effects. Re-raise also reduces magical damage taken, also gives auto re-raise for Helena, which is good, dark resistance of 20%, AoE resistance of 20%, and reduces magical damage taken by 30%. This ability does everything and your taxes, but really what we're looking at here, I mean, it's essentially a re-raise ability that is doing a lot of work and a lot of heavy lifting to give you not only this, but the Bart's or Summer Glassy style AoE protecting your other characters too. And it's big enough that it is just recommendable. I think that this is just an incredible ability and maybe just the best in terms of overall value that you see. As for this one, grants the following effect, and this is the really big one for quite a few matchups, is the dispel, dispelling taking a fatal hit. So guts, immortal spirit, courage. There's one other term for it that I keep missing, but it gets rid of that off of the opponent. So all of her attacks gain this effect, as well as the interesting effect too that, guess what? You can seal your opponent removing re-raise off. So she actually has Vivi's abilities on her too. And this is one of the reasons why I think that Vivi, Raph, and Helena are quite possibly the new power team, because the vision cards support all 3 of these characters. All 3 have re-raise, and 2 of them have re-raise removal protection, which is just great because, as it turns out, sometimes you get hit and you lose that protection. But now with 2 sources of essentially protecting re-raise, this is really, really good. And boy, I don't know what else to say other than maybe I hate it, because it could just be a little bit bad. Now, next up, we have a large AoE spell. No, we don't. We have this one first. Sorry. So this one is a 140 attack. You can see a plus style AoE, plus 75% mod for 3 or more enemies in the AoE. When the target is killed, automatically cast an ability that restores HP for Helena, which honestly, pretty good. Up to 2 can trigger this effect on a single cast. So casting essentially killing 2 will restore a lot of HP. Helena, pretty nice. Alright, next up is the big one. The big AoE spell that decreases AoE resistance by a factor of 60 for 3 turns for targets decreases a chance by 20% for each less in the AoE for 3. So essentially it has a chance to inflict sleep off of this ability. And the less enemies that are in the AoE, the higher the chance of sleep, which is really interesting. Essentially you get an 85% chance for sleep, and you lose 20% for more enemies that end up into it. 0% at 3 enemies. So kind of curious to see how that exactly works during testing. But the big thing is we're getting a lot of AoE resistance off of unprepared opponents who don't have weakness protection. And yeah, kind of scary. Last ability, or job level 25, reduces chance of counter by 100 for 3 turns. It deals damage to a single target. It's 200% mod, so it's pretty strong, 26 AP. And it is a triple hitter, so yeah, elemental chaining, we got it. Cool. So that is a full tour of Helena's kit, and I have to say, it's looking really, really strong. This character is very powerful, especially in combination with other characters. Like, yes, for this video, I have already mentioned that I think that the natural fit for her is a dark and light combo, not a pure light combo. I think that she'll do incredibly well with Raph and Vivi in the party, although that is expensive for sure. That is a 300 cost party. And then there's also just the possibility that Sol will just welcome this character with open arms. Sol and Shals has been a power combo on JP for a little while now. And the third character is always a little bit in debate about who it is, but more than recently, that party has just been running Amnelis from the water element for a kind of counter to other opponents. But you know what? Maybe Helena fits into that party super well as well. There's a lot of heal, a lot of sustain, a lot of revive, and a lot of protection and hard to deal with status effects between the combination of all of these characters now. And it'll be kind of interesting to see. But for people who are wondering if she's meta or not, at the end of this very long video that we haven't even gotten into a demonstration yet, I would say that there's a very good chance that she will be meta. It's still too early to tell, especially because we could see a second anniversary character that is Spear, a la Old. A new version of Old, which could actually come in and snipe all of this. So be careful about maybe going too crazy on this, but yeah, Helena seems strong, if that's what you're wondering. At the very least, she'll probably be a pretty good investment into the future. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. See you next time. I almost ended this video with like and subscribe, but we just don't do that on this. See ya.